Hey everybody, are you excited for today? I am. We are working in our ABC journals. I'm going to be working on the letter B and we're going to be creating some backgrounds. I am hoping to get at least 4 different types of backgrounds made today. Well, they're not really different. It's kind of like building up on each other. So the first one, we're going to be using these supplies. Each one we're going to be using slightly different colors. So you'll get to see different looks. Okay, so we're going to need a stencil. We're going to need some embossing glaze, some stamping pad, inking pads. I have a texture stamp right here. And, oops, I'm going to grab that platform to put it on so I don't forget. We need some water and some kind of brushes. Okay, so I'm going to sit all this off to the side so we can get started. Also, I have watercolor paper. This is kind of the smooth watercolor paper. It's wet media paper, but it's not bumpy. That was just what I had in my stash. I just didn't want to go and find something else. So that's all this is. So you can use whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to show you real quick. And this first technique is we're going to use throughout all the backgrounds. And then we're going to build up from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my oxides and I'm just going to push them down onto my glass plate. Probably need a lot more than what I've put down here, but we can go back and add more, okay? And then I'm going to spritz this with some water. And then we're just going to do the smushing. We're going to smush the colors right onto the background, okay? And, when it gets muddy like this, we can wipe it up with a towel and then put some more down. I could just do one color at a time. Maybe I should do that. Let's try that. Just add a little bit of water and smush it. I'm just doing the edges right now. Oh, that's beautiful. Do you see that? That's beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to smush. All right, I'm going to clean. I'm going to let this dry. If your paper crinkles like this is, then you just take your dryer and you dry it. Let's see, we'll dry it from the back first so it crinkles some more. So it's almost, and then we're going to flip it over and you should see it start to flatten itself back out like that. And now we're flat again. Oh, let's add some speckled egg into the mix here, guys. This is smushing technique. We're just going to smush. Okay, a little bit of water. Layer. We're going to add some layers to this. So I'm just showing you this first one because we are going to be using it throughout, and I probably won't show you how to do the smushing again. We're just going to, I'll just fast forward through those parts or skip them or whatever. So this first layer is just building up color onto your page. Okay, we do need some antique linen. Let's add some of this. There we go. Okay, definitely need some over here. We got way too much of the Victorian velvet. All right, and whenever you get very happy with it, then you can say you're done. But like this one, I'm not quite happy yet. I think it actually needs a darker color in here. So I'm going to add some vintage photo. Just a little bit. Don't want too much here. Just a little bit to highlight those colors. Okay, smush, smush. I'm just gently tapping with my fingers to get it to smush. And if I'm not real happy, I can squirt it with water and make it run so that it's not in one spot. See, watch, like that. And then it thins it out so it's not so, yeah, it definitely needed that. And if I got too much, I can take my towel and dab it. Yeah, that's pretty. Okay. Now I won't be using all of this background. Whenever you create backgrounds, often you don't use the whole thing. Oh, I like this area here. That's really pretty. the soft muted. I think I am going to go ahead and add a little bit more speckled egg. I really like this color and want it to pop a little bit more right here. Smush. Yep, smush. Smush. Okay, that should be done. Oops, I got a hair. Let me take the hair out. That'll make some interesting texture. Adding, there we go. Got it. Okay, then we smushed it together. All right, so I'm just going to set this off to the side to dry. Finish drying. I think that's wonderful. That was our first smushing. Like I said, this is going to be how our first part for all of our backgrounds is the smushing. Okay, so the next one we are going to do, we're not actually going to be smushing on this step. We are actually going to be stamping. Sorry about the noise. Sorry, drop something. Okay, I'm going to use this as my stamping platform because this next step involves the embossing glaze. I'm going to use speckled egg. Okay, so I am going to just put my stamp right into the speckled egg like that, and I'm going, oh, I forgot. I'm going to spritz this with just a little bit of water, just a little bit, not too much, and press down. And I'm just going to keep doing that. Stamp, spritz, lay. Stamp, spritz, lay. I'm just going to go all the way up, building up this texture on the, there we go. And I'm going to, I think I forgot to spritz that one. Spritz. Just going to kind of come over on the sides. Okay. Spritz. You just keep going until you're satisfied with the texture that's on your page. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this at the end. At the end, I will show you how I'm adding these to my book, my journals, so that you can get some ideas on how you want yours to lay. Okay, so we're going to set that off to the side. I'm going to grab, before it dries, my embossing glaze, and I am going to sprinkle this over some of these areas like this. Just kind of going here and there. I'm not really trying to get the whole thing, just trying to get some of the lines and in there. Okay, that should be good. That should be good. Let's tap it off. And tap it this way and tap it this way. There we go. And you can kind of see where it's going to be embossed at. Let me grab this embossing powder. And set that off to the side. Okay, we will be using embossing powder later on too, so that is something, different colors maybe. Okay, we're going to dry this and heat set it. Okay. Okay, so it's embossed. Can you guys see the embossing on it? And we're going to be using that later too. This piece, if you're not happy with how much texture you have on here, then you can always go back in with your stamp and stamp it some more, and then just repeat the process until you're very happy with what you have on here. I'm actually happy with this piece for how I'm going to use it. So we will set this off to the side as well to dry. We're going to use our tags here, and we are going to use our stencil. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, which side? I think this side. Okay, so I'm going to take my speckled egg, and I am going to put it straight onto my stencil like this. Could go like rub it on, but my stencil is got some, there we go. Just do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to do this twice because I have 2 tags. So then we just spritz some water onto your stencil. You flip it over. So you might want to wipe that up. Let me wipe that up. There we go. Just keep that right here handy. Okay, and then we're going to position it and push it straight down onto your tag. Smishing that out a little bit. And then it should give you this impression. See the outline on that? Okay, I'm going to dry that real quick. Just take me a second to dry. Okay, I'm going to mop this up. I'm going to go ahead and do these and do the other tag real quick too, so that they're both ready to go when I am. Okay, so I'm just going to take your ink pad and you just smush it down if you can. It's like, see, this one has a sticking up right here with the flowers. So you just try to get your ink pad to stick on there. Okay. Now I'm using speckled egg, which is light color. You could use a dark color if you want. Okay, a little bit of watercolor, a little bit of water, excuse me. Grab my towel, mop that up. And then I'm just going to gently stick it down and smush it. You could get something to help you like this. You could grab something to help smear it a little bit. I'm okay with just using my fingers, but if you need help, you can get your tools. Okay, so we're going to peel that up. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to dry that. I'm going to mop up my mess. I need a little bit of water to mop it up. Mop up my mess. Ooh. Okay. Now, you notice they're slightly different, but oh, I forgot to clean my stencil. Let me put that back off to the side. I need to clean my stencil for this next part. Okay. Now, oops, grab a hold of me. It grabbed a hold of me. Okay, that should be good. Now, the fun part is to try and realign your stencil back up on here. Like that. And we're going to take, I'm going to take antique linen. You could use a darker color. I'm just using colors that fit into my journal. So you can use whatever color you want. You can use a brush like this, or you could use a brush like this. And we're just going to put our ink in and pounce down like this. I may have to use a darker color. This tag is already pretty similar to this. Pretty similar. And you can peel up the edges to see how it's looking. Yeah, I like that. So I may add a little pop of the Victorian velvet in here. You can mix your colors. So I'm just pouncing right over top of where I already put the stencil down. Okay. Oops, forgot that leaf. It would look kind of bare right there if I didn't get that area. And like I said, you can peel it up to see how it's looking. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, I'm very happy with that. Okay, so the next thing, I leave that down. Okay, don't pull it all the way up. And we're just going to take a little bit of water and kind of dribble it. Well, I'm not doing a very good job of dribbling. I sometimes have to go like this in order to dribble. Okay, and then I'm going to take my towel and dab it. And let's peel it back and look. Okay, yes, that's That looks nice. I do need a few more drops up here. So I'm just going to use my hand tool again. Not too heavy. Okay. Kind of hard to go through the stencil, so okay, and pounce it down. Okay, let's take a peek. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that a lot. Okay, let's move on to our next one. And we're going to use the same color so I don't have to clean it. Let's see, this one fit right here. Just like that. All right. And pounce. Kind of doing like a pounce turn with this one. I want to do this in a little bit darker. And see, so I can show you the difference between a hard versus the soft look. Okay. Here we go. Okay, let's check. Check and see. Okay, yeah. Slightly darker than the other. I love that. Okay. Put that off to the side, and we are going to spritz with the water. You could also use a paintbrush. Oops, I got too much water in there, so I'm going to dab that out. May have to go, I'm going to go back over that area with, here we go. Can't tell if I'm getting any up there. It's smaller area. Okay, I think that's good. Let's dry it off. And let's peel back and look. Okay, yeah, that looks good to me. I'm gonna dry it off. Okay, now I have the option. I can go back in and do the edges with the blue. I think I'm going to use the blue. No, I'm just going to use the antique linen. Go around the edges with that real quick. Okay, so that was technique. I don't even know which one, but there with the stencils. And we're going to come back in and use this and this. So this is going to become a pocket. I'll just tell you now, this is going to be the tags that go in the pocket. And then I'm going to cut out a butterfly out of this. So to decorate with the pocket. Okay, so that was technique number one. Done. I'm going to call this technique number one. Okay, so on to the next one. Okay, so this next one, we're going to switch up our colors. I'm going to be using some purple, some like a yellow, it's kind of a yellow brownish color, some bundled sage, which is green, and some speckled egg, which is blue. I don't know if I'm going to use the speckled egg, and I may have to pull in a couple other colors. I'm not sure yet. So, okay, so we're going to need a stamp. Doesn't matter which one. We're going to use the watercolor paper again. We're going to use a font stamp. Again, it doesn't matter what kind of font you use. And we're going to use archival ink. So let me put this off to the side so that I can quickly grab everything. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is put the text in. I did have another text stamp, but I don't see where. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I also have this big block text stamp, and I have this one that has multiple. I'm going to use the big block for this, just because of the font size and ratio to my paper. I can just do it once and it's done. So I'm just going to press my ink pad onto my stamp like this. Okay, I'm using shadow gray, but you can use hickory smoke or ground espresso, anything like that that's kind of in those tones. So I'm just going to gently push, kind of get it to show up a little bit, but not too much. It's going to be in the background. There we go. perfect. I like that. You could always add a bit more if you wanted to. I'm perfectly happy with how much I got on there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that right there. Now we are going to take some of my oxide spray. This one's Wilted Violet. I'm just going to do a bit right there. It's pretty strong, so I don't want to do too much. I think I'm going to do some of the bundled sage right here. I might have to add some water to that to get it to be wet, and then some of the old paper. Okay, I don't just add a bit of water to get it to move, and I'm just going to go around the edges doing the smooshing technique. Okay. Okay, it's a little more than I wanted, so I'm going to knock it back a little bit with that's why I was going to use the speckled egg, but this is pretty. Okay, and let me grab something real quick to mop that up. I have something, here we go. I hate to waste it, so I'm just going to smush it into this card. It's all muddy, but that's okay. It'll be for a background. Okay. There we go. Just set that off to the side to dry. And I'm going to mop this up. There we go. And I'm going to use some of the speckled egg right here. And I might as well go ahead and add some antique linen onto the mix. Okay, and it looks like I might need a little bit of a brown tone. We'll see. And you just kind of keep layering it until you get what you want, just like before with the smooshing. Okay. I'm going to kind of dry that real quick. All right, now for the fun part, we are going to take our stamp. We are going to add, this is easier to do it with ink pads than it is to dip your thing in. So I'm going to use the same colors, but this time I'm going to use Seedless Preserves. I'm just going to push that onto my flower. I think I will, let's see if I can get some of the bundled sage in there. There we go. The oxides are going to stand out stronger than where I put that distress ink. So I have to kind of remember that a little bit. Some bundled sage in the mix. Oops, got that a little bit on my ink pad, but I'm okay with that. And, you know, I think I want to add, I'm not sure, something else. I don't know what. I have a speckled egg distress ink, so I'm just going to add that right here to the edges too. Just to wipe that off. It kind of got mixed up, but that's okay. And I think a little bit of the antique linen. That purple sure is. Next time I'm going to put the purple down last. There we go. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to gently spritz this with water just to get it to be fluid. I'm going to make sure I put the purple where I want. So I'm going to put it right here. Push down. I'm kind of going to hold it in place for just a second. Yeah, just like that. Isn't that pretty? You can always spritz it with a little bit of water droplets. There, that's pretty. Okay. Now remember, this is the background, guys. So you don't want it to stand out too solidly. The background is all we're really going to be doing. On this, I'm going to bring this out and add an element to it. There we go. And let that dry. Okay. All right, so that's put that off to the side. Technique number 2. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to be using a lot of different things here. We're going to be using a couple different stamps. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I may or may not use that one. And then one of these. I'm not sure which yet. They both are pretty. So I don't know. They both are nice. I'll decide in a minute. Okay, and then we're going to need some embossing powder. I don't have white, but this is clear. So I'm going to be using white ink, pigment ink. But if you have clear embossing powder, you won't need this, okay? The next one is some more of the shadow gray and some distress oxides. Okay, so the first thing is just like before, we're going to do the smushing technique. I'm going to start with the shabby shutters. And we are going to smush. Okay. If you don't have a glass plate, but you have like a Sizzix, you can use the plates that you use on your Sizzix to do this smushing too. Okay, so I'm going to let this layer dry, and then we're going to add one more layer to it. Okay, that's dry enough for the smushing. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of this to get, this time I'm not smushing as much. I'm just doing here and there to get the color to blend, but leave like marks. Okay, now clean this up while that dries. Okay, and we're going to dry this one. Okay, liking the pattern. I'm going to take one little bit of bundled sage, and just to give me some contrasting color, I'm kind of going to smush that around. I'm going to take my brush, mix that up a little bit so it wasn't in one spot. That way I can just kind of put it over top. Trying to get to the edges on this one because I will be using the whole background on this one. Okay, and that was easy to smush, right? We've already learned how to do that. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, so now we need to do the flowers. I'm not sure. I like that one, but this one is pretty too. They're both so nice. Okay, I think for this one, I'm just going to try this one. If it doesn't work, I'll use a different one, okay? But, okay, so the technique here is we're going to add the inks straight to these. So I'm going to be using Victorian Velvet, excuse me. So I'm just going to press it down into my ink pad. Okay, and then just, oops, didn't get the bottom. And then just like before, we're going to spritz this. Now this time it's probably about 4 times, okay? So, because this time we really want it to be a watercolor. So you just keep doing it until it's runny. See how it's runny? Okay, so I'm going to press that down about right here. Oops, it might be a little bit too runny, guys. I may have gotten it too runny, but that's okay. Pounce it off. Yes, that's pretty. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing again. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4. It's runny. I'm just going to kind of position it in a slightly different size. There we go. Take my towel and dry that up so it doesn't completely sit there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to do that, but in a different color. We're going to take our bundled sage. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Push it down. Spritz this about 4 times. Needs a bit more color. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5. Push down. Yes. Like that. and do it one more time. Now this is a very watercolor background. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you could leave it at this point. That time I got a little bit too much water on it, but you can still see the stem, so I'm good with that. Okay, so you could leave it just like this. You wouldn't have to add any more to it, but I'm going to do it one more time with my stamp. But this time, make sure it's really, this green bundled sage needs a lot. So, okay, so this time I'm going to just spritz it one time. Well, one time in each section because it was 2 sections. And then I'm just going to gently go back over, holding it for a second to get a good impression, like that. Okay, and I probably want one more off the page, just a hair over here, just to break this pink up. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're going to add the pink. Get this cleaned up a little bit. Okay, so let's add the Victoria Velvet back to it. Okay. Spritz it one time in each section. And then we're going to go right here. Okay. Try not to pounce off too much. And we're going to do it one more time, so I can put it right here. Okay, do it once. Gently. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm just going to clean this up. Okay. All right, for the next step, we are going to take the embossing powder, the ink. Now, like I said, if you already have white embossing powder, just use your clear embossing stamp for this. But I'm going to have to use my pigment ink because I don't have white. I just have clear, which actually would come out really neat on this, but I'm not going to do that this time. So I'm going to try to find what I was looking for. There we go. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to use this one up here. I'm going to use this stamp. I'm going to put it right there. I need my stamping pad. There it is. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm going to put that off to the side. I don't need that right now. Or that one. Put that off to the side too. I need my paper. Okay. I'm just going to dip this into, where I'm going to put this on here because I really want white. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stamp it like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my embossing powder right over top of that. Sorry about the clumps. I do have clumps in this. I don't know why. Shoot that off. And now I'm going to use my swirl stamp. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing. Gosh, that one's stuck. Look at that. So, grab it. Okay, I got it. Okay, so let me wipe this off. I'll come back in a minute and clean that. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with, actually, you know what? I'm going to do it with the other because I showed, that way I can show you what it looks like if you're not using the pigment ink. So I'm just going to use the embossing ink pad. And I'm just going to stick my stamp straight onto it. Move it out of my way. And I'm just going to put a swirl right there. Okay, and then come back with your embossing powder. Go over it. Not real sure where it's at because I can't see it, but I know I got it. All right. Oh, be careful touching up there. Okay. Set that off to the side while you dump this out. Okay. Now we're going to emboss this with the heat gun, okay? Okay, I had to get out my thing, my tongs, in order to hold that. Can you guys see how this looks? It's all embossed. Now it's clear. Actually, I don't see much of a difference between the white ink and the clear embossing. Maybe a slight difference, but that's it. Okay, so the next one, we're going to take our shadow gray. Okay. And I'm just going to go across the bottom, right about here. There we go, just that hint of it right there. And then I'm going to probably come back and add a sentiment or something right there. But in the meantime, I did have, okay, I was going to use this washi. And I'm just going to put it right here at across the bottom. And if I don't like it later, I can remove it, but that's what I was planning on using right now. Okay, so that technique is done. So I don't even know what number we're on, but I think we have one more to show you. Okay, so for this next project, you're going to need some micro glaze. That's going to be added into our thing. You're going to need the distress sprays, stains. You're going to need some embossing glaze, and you will need some a tool to apply the micro glaze. Okay, and you will need some stencils. So let me set this off to the side. It doesn't matter what colors, you guys can use whatever colors fit your journal. So the first technique is we're going to put our stencil down, and we're going to be creating a resist. Okay, so I'm not sure. There we go. That looks good to me. So we're going to put some of the micro glaze. I'm just going to add some right here and pick it up with my, that's probably plenty. I probably got way too much. So I'm going to put that away. And I'm just going to rub my thing into it and pick it up, back up on here. And I'm just going to rub that across like this. I'm just rubbing it all over my stencil. It's okay if you have some color on your stencil. Be careful your stencil doesn't move like mine just did. Okay, that's probably plenty. Okay, now you don't have to cover the entire stencil. I did for this technique because that's what I want my final look to be like, but you guys don't have to. So I'm going to spritz this with a little bit of water. I'm going to spritz a little bit of the brushed corduroy on the spray stain, which is made a mess right here. So okay, it needs a bit more water. Get that to move. There, now you can see where the resist is. Okay, and we're just going to dry that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to apply some of the peeled paint. We'll add some peeled paint. This is, again, just a layered look. So we're going to spritz on some water and then add a little bit of this color. So, and then I think I need some more water. I really like it to run a little bit more than it is. Okay. Get it to run, we just added some more water to it. Like that. That's pretty. I'm going to dry it again. Okay. All right, now we're going to take one of the other stencils. Let's see, maybe some of this, the circle. Can you guys see the circles? I'm not sure. So we're going to apply this stencil with a little bit of the micro glaze. Again, the micro glaze is on here, and it's also right here. So I have plenty already on here. So just going to rub that on through the stencil. Put a little bit there, maybe a little bit here, just to kind of blend out the texture. And maybe just a dab right there. Okay, now we're going to spritz it with the Mermaid Lagoon. Oops, I forgot to add the water, guys. Water, 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 water. Important to add water. Yes, it does reactivate, but that's okay. Okay. See the resist? You couldn't see it on there when I added it. But now you can see some of the color. Okay, so I want to add another stencil, one more. And I'm going to add this one across it. Again, I'm going to take my Micro Glaze, which should still have plenty. Make sure your stencil doesn't move like mine just did. Okay, I'm just kind of going here and there. I've probably already hit a couple of these spots, but okay, didn't want to do too much. All right, I think for this one, I really need let's see, ice spruce. Oh, you know what? I'm going to bring in old paper. I like it, and I forgot my water again. Water, water, water. Okay. There it is. Now you can see it. Just pops up there whenever you're with the micro glaze. Gives it another dimension. Okay. Now to blend all of mine back in, I'm going to go ahead and add the brushed corduroy back into my mix again. Oh, forgot the water. Just gently this time. Just to give it plenty of blend. Don't know why that bottle is such a mess. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water to get the colors to move together a little bit more. And dry. Okay. Now, don't think we're done yet, guys. We're not done. Almost. Not yet. Okay, so I'm going to take this stamp, which has all these cool little lines in it. So I'm going to take my Bundled Sage ink pad. I'm going to push it into my stamp. So yeah, that's better. Just what I should have done. Just going to go across my ink pad this way. This stamp pad just doesn't want to take texture very well. I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of water. Press down. Press down. Do it one more time just to make sure I have enough on here. Okay, and then I am going to take my speckled egg and sprinkle it on those lines. That wasn't a sprinkle, but that's okay. I'll tap it off whenever I'm done here. All right, there we go. We're going to just tap it gently to the sides and then this way, making sure I get a good clean coverage. I'm going to set that off to the side for a second while I get the embossing powder cleaned up. Okay, let's emboss it now. Okay, so now you can see, okay, up here was obviously still wet. I didn't dry it enough before I added the embossing powder. And somehow I got a string. Let me just take that out. But you can see that was the one we added where the embossing powder went. It just really made that pop. Okay, so that was all of our techniques that I'm going to do today on making backgrounds. And I'm going to come back and show you these in the journals so that you can see what they look like when they're finished. Okay, so let me show you what they came out and look like at the end. Okay, so this was our the smushing technique one. These were the 2 tags that we made. And this was the butterfly right here. You can see the stripes in it. And then here I just added some lace and some sewing around the edges. And that was all I did on those. And then this one I stitched around the edges and just added a little bit of sentiment to that. So that's ready to go. That's number 1. This was another one here. This I just put as a background. I can come later and add something, but for this project, I just thought this looked pretty. And then we have this book and the page on it. We added, hopefully you can see that. I added some of the washi, another piece of washi, a little hello, a little bird sitting on the hello, and a butterfly. Can you guys see? I'm gonna hold it down here so you guys can see the clear embossing on it. Hopefully I'll tilt it so you guys can catch it. Okay, and then our last one in this one journal, I just made it into a page. I added some embossing glaze around the edge. I added the flower and this vellum sheet here, and I did some stitching right here, added some hand stitching, and then this is a pocket that slides. Let me show you. Bring in one of the other tags. So there's a pocket right there. Yeah. Okay, so that was all of our backgrounds. So hopefully you guys will be inspired and you guys can take these techniques and create your own backgrounds. So have a blessed day.